Am I the asshole for letting my family and friends disrespect my boyfriend by calling him by his first name? My boyfriend, 32, is a doctor. I met him through my dad back when we were traveling, and after we started dating he started coming over to my hometown to visit. When I introduced him to my family and friends, I told them his full name, then occupation, then mentioned the other stuff like age and hometown etc. all good until months later where he started complaining about my family and friends referring to him by his first name, and not putting drive before. I found this strange. I told him that's his professional title, but as a society we use first names, nicknames etc. He said he can't help feel annoyed, especially considering that these people don't know him well. But it's been 8 months. He said once we're married or engaged then they can start referring to him using his first name. Recently he started correcting whenever my friends or family call him by his name. His tone becomes aggressive and then he goes on a long lecture about how they should put drive before mentioning his name. It became exhausting because my friends and family can't understand his strange hang-up and he keeps picking fights with them about it. Last night we were visiting my parents and my dad called him Justin instead of Dr. Justin My boyfriend started arguing with him, which caused a huge fight in the house and we ended up leaving. In the car he went off on me saying I'm letting family and friends disrespect him continually by letting them call him with just his name. I told him he was at fault here and he was being unreasonable because what he's expecting is bizarre. He said he takes pride in his profession and that he sacrificed so much to get where he is today, and my family and friends literally lose nothing if they respect his wishes. He called me an enabler and said that siding with them paints me in a bad light and advised me to step up and take a stand, but again, I thought he was overreacting and being hostile for no reason. We got home and he shut me down and refused to speak to me. Mom called me later and we talked a bit. Today he's gone completely radio silence, but the look on his face is telling. Am I the asshole? Edit. We don't have anyone who's a doctor in the family or friend groups, but we know for certain that we don't use people's professional titles all the time when addressing them, especially not people we have a relationship with. I don't understand how me and my family are offending him. He is choosing this his hill to die on apparently. I smell a narcissist, not the asshole. Edit. Thank you for the upvotes and award, dear Redditors. I hope you and your various job titles have a wonderful day. Peace. Some of your comments are hilarious. Tears of joy, tears of joy, tears of joy. I really needed to laugh today, so thank you. NTA. I work with doctors for a living. If you aren't in a medical setting, it's a very formal way to interact. Most all of the docs I work with prefer I call them by their name. The ones that insist on being called doctor. All are basically giant a-holes. Wow. I'm on this subreddit a lot and I don't often say wow. But this needs a wow. Your boyfriend's ego is the size of a hospital. I'm sure he has some nice things about him despite that sounding unlikely by this post. But this issue alone is a huge red flag. Huge. This is telling you exactly who he is and it's not a pretty picture. Not the asshole, but you need to leave this egotistical person who sounds more like a tyrannical Dr. Villian in a Marvel movie than an actual person. Yuck yuck yuck. I'm getting a doctorate, almost done. And I'm not ever going to ask anyone I know socially to call me Dr. Hard Nope 1789 because that's pretentious balderdash. Not the asshole, and he's a loon. Absolutely not the asshole. If boyfriend legitimately doesn't understand this distinction, and isn't just being pretentious. You use people's professional titles at work. I refer to my physician as doctor when I go into an appointment. I would refer to my professors as professor in class. If I ever went to court I would call the judge, Your Honor. It's not reasonable to expect your friends and family, or your partner's friends and family, to refer to you this way. They are friends and family, not your patients, students, or coworkers. It's so strange that he would want his girlfriend's parents to speak to him like they are his patients. No TARDIS, no fez, no long coat, no being called the doctor. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for charging my wedding guest for bringing uninvited +2? I had my wedding last weekend. It was a small wedding at a small venue that has a strict capacity due to fire codes. One of my guests showed up with her 2 children, who were not invited, not in the RSVP, and obviously not in the seating chart. She came in, decided to seat them at her table, taking away the spots of my other guests who were actually invited. A small commotion broke out when she refused to give those seats back, and the venue manager noticed and said that we'd be charged a fine for exceeding capacity, as stated in the contract. When I got the bill, I sent it to her and asked that she pays for it. She claimed that it is not her fault, and that I should have factored in unforeseen charges when budgeting for my wedding. And she couldn't find a babysitter, so she had no choice, and that I should be grateful she took the effort to attend my wedding anyway. Not the asshole, but your ex-friend is. Drop her like a hot potato. And she definitely had a choice. She could have stayed home with her 2 kids. There shouldn't be unforeseen charges at a wedding, especially not ones involving people that were not invited. You will never see the money from her. And with a little luck, you will never see her again. I'm an attorney, and based on the facts as you told them to me, you 100% have a cause of action against her. Depending on the amount you were fined, it might be a small claims issue. But since it was your wedding day, if you really want to go after this person, I can't imagine the emotional damage you just have suffered from this person's deliberate and insensitive actions. Not the asshole. I am not grateful you attended my wedding. Not only did you bring people who were not invited, which is not how wedding invites work, you also failed to show a basic level of courtesy and inform myself that you were doing this. As a result of your actions, not anyone else's, we are now being fined. This is directly due to you, and therefore you are responsible. Wedding planning for unforeseen circumstances does not include potential gatecrashers, as it is well known that this is unacceptable behavior to do, and we expected our guests to behave acceptably. After all, they are guests. Your lack of planning caused this. This is one of those kinds of questions that I never thought I'd vote not the asshole on. You don't charge your guests for anything, that's why they are guests, but you are 100% in the clear on passing on that cost. If you have to make a change like that for a wedding, you call the bride, or a bridesmaid, and ask, or you just don't go, and send the gift and your congratulations later. You don't suddenly add 2 people to the cost without asking like that. Not the asshole. But really, you should have told her to take her children and leave right there and then. Not the asshole. If she couldn't find a babysitter, she should have sent you an apology text and not attended. There are sometimes things I can't do because I'm minding my kids, and that's just a thing one has to live with as a parent. Am I the asshole for being petty and unable to forgive my parents for loving my brother more? Growing up, I could feel my parents' favoritism towards my older brother. He always got away with everything, got better presents on his birthday. While they punished me for every little thing I did and told me off harshly for it. Then they sent him to university. When I graduated, they told me they could not afford both kids going to university. I was heartbroken. But whatever. It's not his fault they loved him more, but I grew to resent him more and more. I moved out of the house, took various jobs to pay for uni myself. Fast forward to many years later, now I have a much better job and gets paid a lot more. He dropped out of uni because of his drinking habit and had no choice but to find a job. I tried to buy my parents love, sending them on expensive vacations, buying them stuff, etc. But still, they loved him more. Always bragged about how successful he really was. Then the pandemic happened and he lost his job and was forced to move back in with them. Now my parents always whine to me how hard it is for him. How disappointed they are in him, and they expect me to help pay the bills for grocery, gas, etc. And I did help. But not before reminding them how they have been treating me like shit for so many years and breaking my heart each time. They tried to deny it, so I reminded them of all the times they clearly showed favoritism towards my brother, and they're all puckered up at both ends. Last Christmas I decided to not come home and they asked me why. I told them they didn't need me there, their golden child's, the one they've been showering with love for years, is there with them. Why would they want me there anyway? And I also told them to tell their lovely son to get a job ASAP, since I won't be paying all of bills myself forever. Now each time we talk and my brother is mentioned, I always refer to him as, your favorite son, which upsets them and they still try to deny, instead of apologizing. Honestly, all they have to do is say that one fucking stupid little word, sorry, and I'll forgive them. But no lol. They don't like me calling them out on their bullshit. These days when we speak on the phone, they whine and I go like, oh, so the favorite son who got better clothes, whose college tuitions were paid for, etc. still hasn't got a job. They told me I was being petty as fuck and should just forgive and forget and stop acting like a child. Am I the asshole? Clearly not the asshole. Petty? Yes? No. They got what they deserved. Stop paying your brothers, or parents, bills immediately. They don't deserve your help nor your money. Edited for the bot. Thanks to all who mentioned it. Not the asshole. My wife goes through the whole golden child situation, so I feel you. It's frustrating being taken for granted. I do have one thing to tell you. Stop paying for your brother's expenses. No more money, and if you're willing to be more petty, then no more family gatherings for a while. Let them miss you being a part of their lives. Try skipping the next few family events, and if they ask, tell them you're tired of being taken for granted. List all the things you paid for and how you're never gotten a thank you. You probably haven't. So ask then to apologize and for your brother to call you and thank you. Don't let them try to thank you for him. He needs to say it. Not the asshole. Stop paying his bills immediately. Wasted effort. Get therapy. You sound, understandably, very bitter. Grab some therapy so you don't let that bitterness bleed into other aspects of your life. Try not to let their shitty parenting turn your life into a mess. Just remember, when you have kids, you'll know not to do that to your own kids and improve the world even in that small sense. Not the asshole. Stop paying for things ASAP. They don't deserve your love or the gifts you give them. Why are you still talking to them? Why are you giving these assholes money? They bet on the wrong horse. They have to live with the consequences. Dump them. They didn't pay for your uni, you got jobs to pay for this. Tell them you can refer them to the places you worked at while at uni while they were laying for their favorite child. Not the asshole. Go low to no contact with them. Stop sending money and put that money into savings for yourself. Live your best life. Forgive them and move on so they don't continue this behavior. Am I the asshole for not tipping pizza delivery person and calling the pizza place to get a replacement pizza? This is important because the tipping culture here is different and this may affect your judgment. I am living in the UK where tipping isn't customary. On to the story. I've been painting my house and ordered pizza 2 days in a row. On day 1, it was delivered without any issues. It was a young girl, seemed like university student as there's plenty of them working in local takeaways. She was American. Her accent made it quite obvious. She handed me the pizza and just stood there waiting while I said my goodbyes. The second time I ordered, it was her again. This time, she made a face when I opened the door and instead of handing me the pizza, she put it on the ground, which would be perfectly fine. Contactless delivery is still a thing. But she clearly purposefully placed it in the only puddle that was near my door. On her way out, she made a comment. I don't think I was supposed to hear that, that's for not tipping. My pizza was completely ruined as the box got soaked from the bottom. I hated having to do that, but I called the pizza place to get a replacement pizza. I explained the situation and the owner told me that it wasn't the first time this happened and that he'd deal with it. My neighbor told me that apparently she got fired. I was telling this story to my friend and she told me I was the asshole for complaining because the girl lost her job because of me. Am I the asshole for complaining about my pizza being completely ruined? I didn't demand her firing. I didn't demand reprimand. Nothing. I just explained the situation because, ultimately, my pizza was not delivered, inedible. Not the asshole, and this entire post-situation is the most British thing imaginable. Tears of joy. You're perfectly fine calling back and asking for your food to be edible because of employee assholery. Tipping is basically mandatory in the US. In the UK, not so much. Girl needs to understand where she lives now. Oh my god. Not the asshole. You don't live in a tipping customary place and this girl has clearly been talked to about it. She put your pizza in a puddle. I live in the US where tipping is customary. I have never in my life tipped less than 15%, and I don't even need to think about that. Not the asshole. She got herself fired. Did you make her put your pizza in a puddle? Did you make her give poor service to other customers? Did you make her say things about not getting a tip? Number? 100% not your fault. Not the asshole. You didn't get her fired. She got herself fired with her behavior. She needs a crash course in the difference in tipping culture between the US and the UK. She told me I was the asshole for complaining because the girl lost her job because of me. No, the girl lost her job for ruining your pizza and insulting you. Is your neighbor willing to eat the gross pizza? You were right.